David Robinson, who's an attorney with Roberto Israel and Weiner, and David is going to talk about an area near and dear to my heart in the employment field, employment law. David, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Hi, David. First, do you want to tell us a little bit about your practice?
Sure. My practice focuses on employment law, which spans from advising employers on handling employee policies, employee complaints, dealing with problem employees, and how to get them, remediate them, and then all the way to handling litigation relating from employment. Additionally, I also handle business litigation with generally closely held and from closely held to publicly traded corporations.
Now, do you represent both plaintiffs and both the company side and the employee side, or do you pick one area?
Generally, you are on one side of the aisle when you
Okay.
do employment law, and in general, I represent the employer.
Excellent.
So, what are the things that are sort of top of mind, the most important things for employers today about employment law that they need to know?
Sure. There's lots of things, and lots of things happening in employment law. Employment law is always an exciting field because it's constantly changing. Just about 2 weeks ago, the governor announced that he wanted to put a ban on non-competes, which could change the whole landscape of the law in Massachusetts.
Right. Speaking of non-competes, and in terms of what's interesting is what I've been reading is in Massachusetts, obviously you have the non-competes that a lot of businesses use, and then obviously in other entrepreneurial states like California, you don't have the non-competes. But what's interesting, and also the article talked about, obviously companies that operate in California will not deal with non-competes, but then they'll try to enforce them in Massachusetts. But what would you feel as an advisor to entrepreneurial companies that have key technology and key people in certain roles that could leave them? How do they protect themselves?
Well, I always advise employers, irrespective of which way the law went on non-competes, that you need to constrain the agreement specifically to what you're trying to protect. Generally, courts have they have a tough time in general enforcing non-competes against putting people out of work. So basically, they don't want to see people be put out of work. So you want to narrowly tailor, irrespective of where the law is, you want to narrowly tailor the agreement to protect what you really want to protect. So if the issue is technology and know-how and trade secrets, you want to make sure that you have strong trade secret protection provisions. And you don't necessarily need a non-compete to do that. You could simply have an agreement that you'll keep all trade secrets protected and confidential. And then you have to make sure that as a company, you're actually protecting those trade secrets.
Right.
Because if you don't protect the trade secrets, they're not really a trade secret.
But if you draft narrowly, like a lot of the contracts that, like, for example, in the service industry, they have broader contracts that say, okay, if the court won't allow this, or this is termed lawful, then will be narrowly construed. So what's the advantage of narrowing it on the go?
Well, that's called when you do that type of provision, that's called what they call a blue pencil provision. And the problem with that provision, it's a good provision to have in there if you want a broad non-compete, but the flip side risk is that the court could choose not to blue pencil it. It may just determine that the agreement's not enforceable as is. So you need to weigh the risks. Is this a person that you want to go to the mat for on a broad prohibition, or is this someone that you'd rather just say, for like a salesperson, do you simply want to protect him from soliciting your customers? So then you may want to consider a more narrowly tailored non-solicitation provision. But it's really something you need to talk to your lawyer about and figure out what's the most important thing that you want to protect and how do you want to go about protecting it.